Honourable Member for Ialibu-Pangia.
Thank you. Thank you that Mr. Speaker giving me a little bit of opportunity to rebut some of the misleading statements coming from a sitting Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. I said what I had to say about the statement from the Treasurer already, but there are a few misleading points that the good Prime Minister has raised. That when we were in government, yes, we got debt. With those debts, I built infrastructure in the country, Mr. Speaker. We left it with 28 billion kina worth of debt in the country. 28 billion kina. Today it's 53. Today it's 53.
Honourable Member, we have a point of order.
Please, don't keep on misleading Parliament. It's not 28. It's a 39 billion kina debt you left behind. IMF confirms this. Central Bank confirms this. All borrowed publicly and all hidden in the state-owned enterprises, and every other debt we were carrying, put to the table. We inherited. We were sitting at a 39 billion kina debt, which was already above 35% debt to GDP threshold that Fiscal Responsibility Act allowed for, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Prime Minister, thank you for your point of order, but I will ask the Honourable Member's turn to debate, so I'll allow
Mr.
him
Speaker,
to continue on
the
your
Prime
debate.
Minister was speaking, we tried all our very best not to interrupt him. All our very best, and despite all the facts that he was presenting were wrong. But all he has to do, Mr. Speaker, all he has to do is look at his own annual budget outcomes that he tables on this Parliament to see the figures that I'm calling about. That's all he has to do. That's what he tables on this floor of Parliament. Now, that is the only document that we can depend on. That is the government's official position, Mr. Speaker. But, today we have 53 billion kina worth of debt, but, the only construction of things that are happening is this so-called Connect PNG. Well, we'll see the outcome of it very soon. We'll see the outcome of who is getting the contracts and who is doing the work, who is not doing the work, who is getting paid. Those things are now starting to be asked by the same very people that you are bringing into this country, IMF. They're asking about the procurement processes, names of people who have got contracts. So it'll be very interesting. So we look forward to them working with you over the next 12 months to give you all the conditions that they have listed and you have tabled on this floor of Parliament to be complied with. So we're encouraged by some of the things that they are saying, but getting 3.225 billion kina bailout from IMF is not easy. It is going to be a challenge. They are going to tighten the noose, and we are going to struggle to survive. This is what we are missing at this point. Now, in May 2020, despite what the Prime Minister is saying, May 2020, there's a club in Paris called Paris Club, made out of most of the world's most developed economies. There are no Africans, there are no Chinese, there are not many Asians, but world's most developed economies. They suspended all the repayment of loans for PNG in May 2020. Treasurer needs to give some details of that to the House. Why did they suspend repayments? It's only because when we are not able to repay the loan, they suspend it so they give us breathing space. Now, when we have serious physical issue problems, Mr. Speaker, these are all on website, and you can go to the Google and find it yourself, Mr. Speaker. If you are not able to do your job, then I suggest you do that. But, Mr. Speaker, these are serious concerns. We can say that we are having record spending and record revenue here, but that is not reflecting on the status of the economy, state of the economy. This is what we are arguing about. This is what we are trying to get you to get us the real picture of what is happening on the ground. People struggling to go and find a job or even holding on to a job that they have. These are real situations when you have 10,000 people going to some hotel here to look for a job. That's the reality that is facing us. This is not a political point-scoring exercise. We are not going to the election, so we have to please anyone. a government that is for the people, take on advice and critics, comments and things, and assess it. Why are people complaining? And I think when you look at, you said we're paying 6 to 7 or 8% interest rates, there's only one loan that we got, that was the sovereign bond. And I admit that, we were advised by Treasury, this is the path to go. But, it is only $600 million. That's converted to 1.8 billion kina out of a 53 billion kina loan book that we have. You can make reference to one point. Of course, sometimes we could have made better decisions. But right now, you're not getting free money. Don't come and talk about 0% interest rate here. Don't mislead the parliament. You look at the IMF, they're lending to you for 2.4%, 5% 5 years grace period and 10-year loan repayment. I don't know the loan agreement about the Australian loans because you have not tabled the documents on this parliament, but we are catching it on the internet and everywhere else. These are realities you are not telling the nation, that we are in serious crisis. And if you do not match the revenues that you have projected for next year, this year, you will have a spending crisis because your ability is just spend, spend, and spend because you have a 24 billion kina budget. This is now to rein in the spending. Cut the non-priority areas. If we all have to make sacrifice, let's make it. The country needs us to stand up for our people. If we have to cut back on things that we are doing and the excesses that we are having, we must cut back. And this is a very good example. IMF and their team coming here is an indication that not all is right. Not all is good. That is why we need to take heed of what the advice that they are trying to bring in. When you're going to affect the public service machinery and when you're going to affect the central bank operations and when you're going to affect the treasury's operations, when you're going to introduce new tax and tax administration of this country, these are serious reforms. And they're asking you to do it. There are timelines here to before end of December 2023. So, this is not something that we can sit here and play politics about. It's about our country, reality facing our country. We are the only country apart from Pakistan and Sri Lanka in this program now. That's not something we should be proud of, Mr. Speaker. Yes, we've had tough times. We have had governments come and go. But we all must put our heads together and try and rescue the position that we are in. Because all is not well. So, I know that, we are trying to bring services to our rural communities and look after our own electorates, but if the country is not stable and the economy is not performing well, we will not deliver. And that is a fact. So I urge the members of parliament, yes, Prime Minister, and I can carry on and talk about all these things, but it has to be factual. The reality on the ground, what is happening to our people. This is not about politics. Elections are finished. Accept what's going wrong and let us try and fix it and put our country back on track. That's all we're asking. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.